folks from the busy, noisy kitchen. I'm going to make some black butter today. This is a delicacy I learned about in Jersey. Having just visited Jersey and the Channel Islands, and it's a very basic recipe which is going to help me to use up some cider trub without throwing it away. So it's a busy, noisy kitchen. You can hear the kettles boiling, the air still's on, and even the tumble dryer's going out there in the utility. But I just want to explain to you what I mean by the trub. This is an example of a cider I've just put on today. Now this trub will settle to about there at the end of fermentation, and I'll end up with a combination of about 5 litres of liquid and solid matter, which I'm not really going to do anything with other than throw away. So I'm keeping it because what I'm actually going to do is pour it through something like this, which is a colander, over a pan. I'm going to extract the liquid from it, okay, and that liquid then goes through my air still. So what I would have ordinarily thrown away from the cider is now being stilled, so I can make a spirit off it, which is what I made earlier. And that's a 38% spirit in there presently. Okay, so this is the solid matter that's left from it, the cider yeast trub. And what I'm going to do, I'm just boiling this kettle, and I'm going to pour that boiling water through that apple over the trub to rinse the yeastiness away from it, and then I'm going to leave it and let it dry naturally. Okay, so the water is just boiled in the kettle, and I'm simply going to pour it over this. Just break it up. You can hear the water draining through. And I'm just washing the yeastiness out of it, so the apple that's left behind doesn't taste yeasty. Right, I'm going to leave that, and I'll show you what it looks like in a couple of hours' time. Okay, a couple of hours later, and that is what I've got. And what I'm going to do with this is just give it a final squeeze by lifting the cloth up. So that's the cider trub, and I'm just going to get it into this tub and keep that in the fridge overnight. Incidentally, in case you're wondering why I'm doing it over 2 days, it's simply that I've racked my cider today into clean demijohns. This is the stuff that's left behind in the bottom of the main fermenting vessel, but I don't have all the ingredients I need for this recipe, namely the licorice, so I need to go shopping. So I'll pick this up tomorrow after I've been to the shops. Good afternoon from the busy and noisy kitchen. I am now going to continue my Jersey black butter recipe. I'm kind of making it up as I go along, and so we'll just have to see what happens. Anyway, these are the ingredients. So left to right, this is the apple mush that you saw from yesterday. Now I have taken some out, and there is 500 grams of this left. The mush that I've taken out has gone into a bread recipe. Just here I've got 250 grams of sugar, so I'm using half the amount of sugar to apples. And then I've got some licorice just here, and I'm going to use half the amount of licorice to sugar, which will be a quarter of the amount to apples. So there'll be 500 grams of apple mush, 250 grams of sugar, 125 grams of licorice. Alongside that, I'm going to add a dash of cinnamon, a dash of mace, a dash of nutmeg, and a little bit of lemon juice, and probably some water to loosen it up. It is a big experiment, and we'll just have to see what happens as I'm doing it. These quantities might vary. So I'm just going to put my apple mush into my wok, and then on top of the apple mush I'm going to add the sugar, and then I'm just going to stir this around with a wooden spoon just to get it mixed nicely together. Okay, that's now mixed together, but it's quite stiff, so I'm going to loosen it with a little bit of water. An unmeasured amount, I'm doing it visually. And what I'm trying to do is just to get this to a point whereby I can put the heat on and I know it's not going to immediately stick and burn to the bottom. Okay, that seems nice at that point. I'm now going to add into this a sprinkling of nutmeg. I'm not measuring it, I'm just sort of doing it visually, but there's probably a good 1.5 teaspoons gone in there. I'm going to do the same with cinnamon. Again, probably a teaspoon or roundabout, just over. And a little bit less mace, That will do, probably just under a teaspoon. That's a bit lumpy and I will mix it all together. So these spices should just mix nicely. I'm going to add a few drops of lemon juice. That should do. Then I want to put the lid on and I want to put the heat on low. I don't want this to burn by any means. And I just want that to come to a very gentle simmer, and that's going to probably take a good 15-20 minutes. So we'll have a look at my licorice. It's just standard licorice pieces that you get. So I'm just going to weigh out 125 grams. There's 128 grams, that will do. And of course, as always, it's important to quality control the product. Bit rubbery, but very flavoursome. I must do a beer with some of this in, I think. So I'm just going to take each piece and cut it in half with a pair of scissors, just so they're not as big, because these have got to break down and dissolve in the pan. And there they are. And I'm going to add these on top of that mixture, and then I'm going to stir them in. Now it may be, once the licorice is dissolved, that this looks the part, but it might also not look black enough, and I may end up adding more licorice. I'm sort of playing it by ear on my first making of this, so we'll see what happens. So I'm now just waiting for this to come to a simmer. Right, this has come to a simmer. Let's have a little look. So I'm just going to give it a bit of movement around. There's not much sign of the licorice dissolving at this point. I hope it does dissolve. I guess if you suck a piece of licorice long enough, it does tend to dissolve. I shall leave it going. So just a 1 hour later update, and the licorice still hasn't fully dissolved. It's definitely got a lot smaller, and the colour of the mush has got darker. But I think I'm going to need to add all of the licorice. But trying to get it to dissolve this way is too much of a challenge, I think. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to boil the other licorice and then add the liquid from that into this. It's all a big learning curve, basically. I've never made this before. There are recipes out there, but they all vary as well. So that's the rest of the licorice in this pan. It was a 250 gram bag. I'm going to put this on low. I'm going to pop the lid on and leave it to simmer. Okay, so that's simmering away now, so hopefully that will dissolve. And just to explain, the little bits of licorice that were left in there, which had shrunk, I've also added into this water now, so I'm trying to dissolve them quicker this way. Let me tell you something, licorice does not dissolve easily. I think I might help this along its way by blitzing it. So I've got what seems like licorice gravy, and I'm going to pour it into this. Try not to get it on my t-shirt. Whoever would have thought that Jersey black butter could be so complicated? I'm sure it wasn't in the olden days. But it is my first time doing it, so it's all a learning curve. Okay, this is now going to get blitzed. Right, that's what I'm left with, and now this is going to get combined with the apple stuff. And already I can see that is more the colour I'm looking for. So I'm going to combine that together, and now that dark colour is more like what I've expected to see. Right, this is more like the Jersey black butter, which I'm used to. Now lid on, gas on, and heat on very slowly. I've got the lid slightly ajar at one side so the steam can escape and it doesn't just build up all steam in there, because I want this now to begin to reduce. So I'm playing the waiting game. I'll get back to you when something's happening. Okay, black butter update. It's now nice and smooth. It's got a lovely constituency, really smooth. It seems to have thickened up quite a bit, but I don't think enough. So it's just going to be a very, very long and slow job. I've replaced the glass lid with this so the steam can evaporate, but it is just a case now of playing the waiting game. Okay, there's some good bubbling and steaming now. I think I'm going to turn this off because I don't want it to burn onto the bottom of the pan. Apologies for the background noise, I've got kettle and dishwasher competing with me. So I've turned the heat off on this, and yeah, it's not as black as I remember it, but I'll tell you what, it smells right. Okay, I'm going to jar this, and the rest of it that doesn't fit in the jar, I'm going to make something else with. Okay, so I've got a canning funnel which is not quite the right size for this jar, but it should hopefully work. I'll come back to you when it's all in. So there's my jar of Jersey black butter, all nicely labelled up. This is something that you can use as jam, you can use it on biscuits, on toast, you could use it even as a cake filling or whatever. I'm going to put it in the fridge and use it at a later date because I've got some other stuff left here in the pan which I'm going to show you. When I say other stuff, I mean I've got more Jersey butter, I've got plenty of it as it happens. I should have a little taste, shouldn't I, just to show you. So. Oh, it's lovely. It tastes like sweet licorice and Christmas. It's got the spices give it that Christmassiness, but it's very, very strong. So if you do have this on toast or whatever, thin, less is more. Right, the stuff that I've got left in this pan, I'm now going to make some flapjack with. Okay, so to make my flapjack, my Jersey black butter flapjack, it's dead easy. I'm just going to add a few raisins into here. I'm going to add a squirt of golden syrup treacle, a dessert spoonful of butter, and then I'm simply going to mix it all together and stir. And then I'm going to add the essential ingredient of porridge oats. Plenty of them. I'll probably need to add more. And I keep going until I've got a really, really stiff mixture. So add some more. This is it. And I'm just going to add a little bit more. And that will do. I'm not measuring, I do it by eye. But this now is a perfect flapjack mixture. Okay, I'm going to cook my flapjack in this dish, and I might need more than that yet, but we'll wait and see. I've got some greaseproof paper in there so it doesn't stick to the side. And it's simply a case of spooning it in, which is easier said than done with one hand, and then smoothing it across. So I'm just going to press it and smooth it in now. Just going to trim the excess paper off. Oh, for aesthetics. And that is now ready to go in a preheated fan oven at 180 degrees for 15 minutes. Okay, so the oven's up to temperature. Let's get this bad boy in. Right, I'll be back. Right, let's have a look. So it's still quite soft on top, but that will set. I'm wondering whether to put it in for another 5 minutes actually. Yeah, I think I'm going to do. Okay, 5 minutes is up. I'm going to turn the oven off and I'm just going to leave that for 10 minutes before taking it out. Okay, 10 minutes is up and that is done. Okay, it's still spongy, but it's not as sticky on top, and that's what I wanted. So I'm going to attempt to lift this out without burning my fingers. There we go. And I'm just going to take the grease-proof paper down. So here's what we've got. Looks nice. I'm now going to cut it while it's warm into the size pieces that I want. And now it's simply putting the pieces on this rack to cool down. Okay, so there it is at the minute. I've now got to leave this to completely cool down and set. Okay, apologies for the background noise. The air still's going, but I just thought I'd show you the finished product. Okay, so flapjack is normally a little bit crunchy, but this is actually quite soft, and I think it's because I've done it as thick as that, and I probably should have done it a little bit thinner. It tastes absolutely wonderful. There's a Yorkshire delicacy called parkin, and this very much tastes like it actually. Really, really nice. Go perfect with a cuppa. Anyway folks, I hope you've enjoyed the film. Have a go at using your apple pomace up or your Trub from your cider. Make some Jersey black butter. Make some flapjack. Catch you on the next film. The film that you've just watched is a Moss Home and Garden production. You can find more by going to www.mosshomeandgarden.co.uk. I'd just like to say thank you very much for supporting my YouTube channel and for watching my films. It really is very much appreciated. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to my YouTube channel in order to receive future updates about the home and garden films which I upload. You can find my YouTube channel by going to www.mosshomeandgarden.co.uk. Please click on the red subscribe button. When you've done that, a little bell will appear. If you press that also, then you'll get future updates about the films which I upload. If you like my films, if you like my style of filming, then you might also like my travel channel, which you will find by going to youtube.com/Stuart Moss or type in www.mosstravel.tv. Again, if you could subscribe to that channel, it would be hugely appreciated. If you'd like to get Moss Home and Garden updates on Facebook, then please open Facebook and do a search for Moss Home and Garden, and you will find the page. If you like the page, then you will get future updates on there. And if you'd like to connect on Instagram for home, garden and travel photography, as well as some stories, then my username is StuMoss, STUMOSS. If you'd like to connect on Twitter, then my username is @StuartMoss. And if you'd like to contact me about film usage or any other issue, please just email me on stewmosshomegarden@gmail.com. Once again, thank you very much for supporting my channel, for watching my films. I do appreciate it. I'd just like you all to have a great day.